Start the meeting with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And when we have Chief Fisher's father passed away, can we have a moment of silence for Bill Fisher and his family? Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Josh Covert is absent. James Altoff.
Here.
David Villalobos. Present. Lester Caver.
Present.
Norman Stick.
Here.
William Fisher is absent. Todd Wilkeny.
Here.
Carl Brittingham.
Here.
Nick Mugger.
Here.
Ralph Miller.
Present.
Nick Recupero is absent. And David Austin.
Present. Public comment. Anybody have public comment? Last for at once.
I have.
Come up and state your name, please, and your address.
My name is Diane Corich. I live at 14630 Euclid Street, townhouse number D in Lindsley. I've been a resident for about 10 years. On March the 30th, approximately 9 p.m. at night, I was laying in my second-story loft bedroom and I heard someone jiggling my front doorknob, trying to get into my house. I live alone, scared to death. Came down the stairs. I have no front windows because it's all garage, but I have an oval shape in my front door, and you can kind of see through the distorted glass. It was men's legs at the door. It wasn't my son. So I hurried down the stairs, and I shouted at the door, "Who's that?" And the guy mumbled something and left. So he got into my storm door and was trying to get into the door to my house. I called 911. About 9 or 9:05, and they said they would send somebody out. Called my son, hoping he could come over. He couldn't come over. They had dinner and drinks, whatever. 10 minutes later, he said, "Mom, nobody's there yet?" I said, "No." And he said, "Call him back." So 10 minutes later, I called 911. I got the same dispatcher. She said, "He left, didn't he?" I go, "He left, but I thought you were sending somebody around." She goes, "Well, I can." So she said she would send somebody around. I called my son back, and he said, "I'll stay on the phone with you until someone comes." 10 or 12 minutes went by, nobody came. He said, "Hang up, I'm going to call from my house." He lives in Beecher. He connected into Will County, explained the situation. They kept him on the phone. They connected him into Lake County, explained the situation. They kept him on the phone. Connected him into 911, got the same dispatcher because my son said that she seemed familiar with what was going on, and said they would have somebody out as soon as they could. 28 minutes later, somebody came to my house. 48 minutes, 3 911 calls, and somebody was trying to get into my front door. Officer Matson showed up, very aloof. Like, I know the guy wasn't there anymore, but there was no sense of urgency. There was nothing. He said, "What did he look like?" And I said, "All I could see is he was a tall black man." I don't know the age. I don't know. But my neighbor, I texted her. She's going to send me pictures from her camera. He said, yeah, okay. So he asked me a couple more questions, and my neighbor started sending me the pictures, and I was going to show Officer Matson, and he goes, "Well, you can just email those to me." Okay. I'll email them to you, but don't you want to see them? I mean, there were 6 pictures. So my daughter came to meet me. She lives in Lowell. Went to her house to spend the night. Sent the pictures, the email to Officer Matson at 10:30. Never got a response, never got a reply. The next day, I called Bill Fisher, and I left a message stating what had happened, and could you please call me back to find out what happened? Where's the breakdown? Why did it take 48 minutes? No response. On, I don't have the exact date, March 31st, yeah, that's when I called him. April 1st, I called Josh Covert. I got his name and number from somebody at work. explained the situation to him. He said that 48 minutes was unacceptable, and that he has to find out where the disconnect was. Somebody would call me back. Nobody called. On April 5th, I called Bill Fisher again. He answered the phone. I was able to talk with him. I explained everything that had taken place. I wasn't irate. I was calm. I was just going through the story. It wasn't like I was, chopping his head off or anything. I just wanted to let him know what was going on. I was very upset with how everything was handled. And he said, yeah, well, we were very busy that night. We had 4 or 5 domestics. Okay, I understand you're busy, but somebody was trying to break into my house. Where does that fall in line? He said, well, I gotta look into this, I'll call you back. He never called me back. Nothing. So now I'm furious, 1, because it happened, 2, because nobody is even acknowledging what happened. Nobody is calling me back, nobody's responding, nobody's doing anything. I called the town manager. I spoke to the administrative assistant. She was new. She gave me to somebody else. I want to think her name was Michelle, possibly an assistant of the town manager. And I went through the whole story with her. I was homesick that day, and she's like, oh, God, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Somebody will call you back either by the end of the day today or tomorrow. That was on April 18th. This is April 26th. I have not heard from one person. Not one. So I don't know if my taxes aren't getting to here or, what the deal is, but it's incomprehensible to think that 3 911 calls in 48 minutes is the norm. Because in that amount of time, I could have been robbed, beaten, chopped up in little pieces, and buried in my backyard before the police came.
If you give me your name and write down your phone number, I'll get back with you.
They all have it. I'll be happy to give it to you. And another thing is, Officer Fisher said, well, we're not in charge of 911. I go, I understand. That's a contracted service. But that 911 is what protects your residents. Okay? And on the 911 log, they listed it as a suspicious person. A suspicious person isn't trying to break into your house. That's somebody sitting in a car, watching your house. Also, they didn't record the other 2 calls. There's only 1 call on the log. So, everybody failed. Everybody.
I have a friend here that's pretty good on that Southcom, so I'll have an answer for you.
I know, but I'm not looking for any, for you to have a friend or...
Well, it needs to be found out what happened and fixed.
I have pictures. He didn't even want to look at them. Just email them to me. Okay. When this guy shows up at your mother's house, so you're going to email the pictures or you're going to do something about it? It's ridiculous.
If you'd like to leave those with me, I'd be glad to, when the chief is back, from
everybody
bereavement,
should,
we'll follow through.
Ma'am, what's your last name so I can get it down?
Korach, K-O-R-A-C-H.
Thank you.
And if you just write your phone number down, you don't have to stay public. And I will personally call you when we get all the facts.
So I'll leave them with you?
Either way, you can leave it, Sarah.
All right, thank you.
Keith. I'll have Todd look in the south.
Sorry this happened to you, and thank you for bringing it to our attention. We have to look into it.
And this is no fact mark. I can give you that one.
Okay, he'll be in touch with you and any other information in the future.
Okay.
He will call you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other, second time for public comment? Third time? Okay, we'll move on. Approval of the minutes of Wednesday, March 22nd, 2023. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
And Charlie made the motion. Jim made the second. Roll call vote, please.
Jim Olsop,
Yes.
Dave Villalobos,
Yes.
Charlie Caper,
Yes, ma'am.
Norm Stick.
Yes. Okay, VIPS report?
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Tim.
Hello.
In front of you is the March reports, report for this unit. Everybody made their hours plus some. We had 5 total call-outs and details, 4 of which were crossing guard duty, and 1 other, which was a utility problem. We're coming close to the end of our quiet time right now. Usually, right for our quiet, details are coming in. So, we'll be busy. That's all I have.
Thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
Any applicants? Any applicants?
No, sir.
No. Thanks for what you do.
Police Department, communications?
Yeah, there's, copies in your packets, 3 letters that were sent, for communication. The first is a thank you from, the general service officer, but the officers in schools, social media posts about Holy Name, and then a letter from Sergeant Lukasik of St. John PD for Corporal Olande and Lewis. So to start with, we received a letter from a fairly new resident that indicated that he's a resident of St. John over in Hanover Township Schools, and that after all the things in the media regarding school shootings and so forth, that he wanted to bring to our attention that he's noticed our police cars at Lincoln Elementary, and basically how comforting that is to him to see that, his family. The Holy Name Church post was from Benny Wilkening. He had seen one of our officers over there in the parking lot, and a crucifix apparently was blown over by the wind, and one of our officers took care of that, and we just wanted to acknowledge that he observed that. The letter from Sergeant Lukasik from St. John, he wanted to extend his thanks and gratitude to the chief. On March 15th, they had a situation at the Target in St. John where several $100s worth of wooden pallets and so forth were stolen. It was caught on security cameras, and when he reached out to our department, specifically Corporal Olande and Officer Lewis, was able to identify the individual involved and was able to help in assisting in the solving of that particular crime, which was apparently like immediately after they had gotten the pictures. That should cover the communications.
Okay, thank you. And then we can go into, finances.
So yes, your report indicates there's a number of POs for the month. Once again, pretty expensive vehicle repair, other miscellaneous stuff. The vehicle repairs are probably the most notable thing in the repairs for vehicles in that particular month. I don't know if you have any specific questions about anything in particular on that. Then we have the K-9 non-reverting fund ordinance that should be adopted tomorrow at the town council meeting. It was moved. Let's see here. The Crown Point Community Foundation donation and grant money received to purchase those shields that I know the chief had mentioned to you, those portable shields. That has been done, so those have been, ordered, if you will. We haven't, of course, we haven't gotten them in. So change in the funding for the distribution of the DARE to K-9. And basically, that's, kind of a change because of the discussion of, changing the program in DARE, so we felt that funds would just go to the K-9 instead. There's been discussion with the chief about possibly changing the, program for DARE to a different organization. That hasn't happened, it's not written in stone, but that's all out there. I should have got everything here.
Any questions?
I think that's it.
A motion to accept, the report?
Is this for that, or is this
For this,
Can I
right?
explain?
Pardon?
Can I explain what that's about?
that's for
So,
the,
as Carl stated, like the DARE program is looking at being changed to a different program. You had approved, the Board of Safety had approved 2 years ago that Law Enforcement Partners, who does the magnetic calendars,
Yes.
that the proceeds from that money would be put into a fund for DARE. That money has always been deposited into that line item. However, with things moving forward, we'd like to request that that money be moved instead of going into a DARE fund. Once that K-9 reverting fund is adopted by the town council, that the money for this year's goes into that.
Thank you for, straightening that out. Okay, so, we would, have a motion to, move the money from.
I just change the account.
Okay, go ahead.
I make a motion to change the, account from the DARE account to the non-reverting K-9.
Mhm.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, or roll call vote?
Jim Olthoff,
Yes.
Dave Villalobos,
Yes.
Charlie Capers,
Yes.
Norm Stick.
Yes. Okay, Carl, number 5, staffing.
Yeah, so, first thing that the chief had on there was the department inspections and then a, department meeting. It's gonna be, May 31st. We're gonna start at 8 o'clock. We're also doing, my understanding is we're doing the department photo as well on that day. And also, we're gonna have, the AEP, orientation from Franciscan Health, that we've contracted with for, employee assistance. They're gonna give a orientation to possibly as many employees of the town as we can get together on that day as well. So that's May 31st.
Is that Saturday?
No,
Wednesday. It's a Wednesday.
Wednesday. And, we'll be here at probably 7, but we're gonna start at 8. And then the meeting is supposed to be at 10 o'clock. And we also wanna try to get through as quickly as we can, because we'll have guys that just came off of work at 5 o'clock in the morning that day as well.
Okay, is there any other staffing updates? Steve?
Just the new hire, which, in fact, that somebody said you wanted to perhaps meet him again tonight. Officer Renner is in the back, and, all of you know that he had already been officially sworn in so that he could actually work and get paid. So the ceremony will be tomorrow.
And we can't promise him a job and not pay him.
Right. So it just so happens as well that we got enough of his gear and uniforms in that he can actually start working on the road and training an FTO, which that process will be fast track because of his experience,
Great.
obviously, in law enforcement, so. Tomorrow evening, he'll be sworn in.
Okay, report on the K-9.
Yeah, so, in the as part of the training report, so he's obviously started his training, which there's really been nothing good, nothing bad, just typical training. Also, it was on there that, the software, purchase is on here, and just so you understand that it's kind of a two-part thing. One part of it is for the tracking of the dog from the vehicle, and the other part is, basically for the officer. So, I mean, once we get into it and, start using it, we can probably show you what it does and what it's all about. Because it's actually something new for us altogether as well. We've never had that in the past, for our canines. So far his training is going well from what we've heard, and
Good.
so everything's good there.
So, the monthly activity report is as
You want me
listed?
to go into the rest of the training? I think that's where we're at, right? No, I'm sorry, that's the training.
Oh, equipment. I skipped equipment. 7.
Well, actually, the rest of the training report, you want me to do it for the whole department?
Yes.
I mean, even though you have it in your packet. So let's see, quite a bit of training, obviously, because it's the beginning of the year, so, let's see. You should have already gotten February, so for March, we had, some LPR training, which is actually, 52, who actually kind of runs the LPR license plate reader thing. That was at county. 3 officers at active shooter training in St. John. They had a drill in St. John, last month. And, 3 officers for, SFST's refresher. That's just for your traffic stops and DUIs. Some drug interdiction training for 2 officers in Hammond, SWAT training, IDEX recertifications, additional SWAT training for Miller, and CNT training for one of our SROs. So that gets us all the way through last month.
Okay, and then, let me see,
7.
equipment 7?
Yeah, the only thing that's on there that really, you already really know about is, we're waiting on some, bids on equipment for the vehicles that were already approved, so, that's really the only thing with equipment. We're also looking at some radios too.
Was the new squad cars ordered yet?
Well, yeah, I mean, they were ordered, they were already ordered. It was just a matter of whether we were gonna actually purchase them or not.
Any projection when they're due in?
No,
No?
I don't. The big part is always the equipment, that's the big delay,
Mhm.
is getting them outfitted. But I don't have that,
Okay,
but I don't know when that's.
thank you. Go on to 8, monthly activity report.
All right, so the incidents and calls for service, assisting others, fire and EMS was 139 for the month, citizen assist 155, juvenile related 7, nothing, and homicides 135 ordinances, 47 incidents related to persons, 13 property, and 738 for traffic. So that brings our totals for the month of 1,234 and 3,798 for the year so far on that. Citation reports, we had 149 state violations, 1 town traffic, 52 town ordinances, 5 uncategorized. We had 207 citations for the month and 602 for the year. On our warnings report, we had 669 state warnings, warnings, 3 town traffic, 56 town ordinance warnings, and 3 uncategorized, which we had 731 for the month. That brings the total warnings to 2,179. On the arrest report, we had 27 arrests. We had a total of 48 charges filed, 30 were misdemeanors, 10 were felonies, and we had 8 warrants. So we've got a total of 85 arrests and 145 charges filed for the year. You have the breakdown on the traffic stops. I don't think you know plenty of detail on that. You can see how that breaks it down now. That was something new. And warnings, citations. Let's see. So for our ordinance report, so for March we had 7 abandoned vehicles, 2 noise ordinances, a rubbish accumulation, other miscellaneous nuisances, 39 parking and blocking traffic issues, and a couple other miscellaneous parking issues for the month. Looks like we had a total of 59 for the month of March.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
On your traffic stop analysis. In 2022, in January, you've got 389 stops. And in 23, it's more than double, it's 738. And then in February, we got 257 from 22 and 651. It jumped more than 100%. And the same thing for March. What's the cause for the huge jump in traffic stops? As I'm wondering.
Wish I knew. You're looking at the figures just as much as I am, the same way I am.
I think it's a huge jump.
Sure, I understand.
12-hour shifts.
Could be, I mean, one thing we noticed that was already brought to your attention is the 12-hour shifts. That activity was, at least in the beginning, increased quite a bit. And we relate that to the 12-hour shifts. So, I mean, that was one big increase that we saw immediately with the 12-hour shifts in that traffic activity.
Okay, well, thank you. I just noticed that was a huge statistical bump.
Could be the weather too, because we had pretty light January, February, snow-wise.
Are the officers on quota?
No. No, we don't do quotas.
Okay, we'll move along to 9 Lexipol policy updates. A.
Didn't realize we were actually reading through Lexipol updates tonight again.
We don't have any, Carl.
No, Sarah,
We
you're...
don't have an actual policy update.
Okay.
No, the only update he had to report was that the EAP that had been worked on as part of the wellness
Yeah.
policy had been approved by the town council.
And was there, Sarah, was there anything B as far as peer support?
Ryan Miller was unanimously, anonymously selected by his peers with a department vote to be the peer support person, and he attended peer support training last week.
Great.
Unanimously?
Anonymously.
Okay.
Anonymously.
And then, number 10, other, Too Good for Drugs program.
Yeah, that's the program that's gonna replace, that we wanted to replace DARE with, but as the chief had indicated already to you, the only school that's not on board with it is the Crown Point schools, because
Oh, yeah.
all of their schools are still gonna continue to teach DARE, and the only one that's in our district is MacArthur. And there's no resolve to that I'm aware of. I don't really see that I mean, they're not gonna change for one school, so I don't know why we would teach both programs. So I don't have the resolve, I don't know how that's gonna work
Yeah,
out.
I remember the chief reported on that.
And I really don't think there's any update to it.
Okay, thank you. Move on to the fire department, number 11, communications.
The communication that we have is a letter of recognition for Deputy Chief Mager that was sent to the Board of Safety, not me. So this one's you. If you'd like me to read it, I will on your behalf.
Please.
Okay.
I don't know if I have that in.
Yeah,
I'm writing a letter recognizing the tremendous work and effort that Deputy Chief Mager has done in creating and updating the mutual aid response plans for the town of Cedar Lake. The response plans are essential in coordinating the adequate dispatching of fire department resources throughout Lake County's Spillman system. Because we are not part of the Lake County Central Dispatch, the heavy lifting falls back on us to create these response plans ourselves. Chief Mager took this task on and successfully implemented the response plans in November of 2020. These plans consist of over 400 records that tell our dispatchers what units to dispatch and which other agencies are to assist, and the equipment needs to be changed to stations to change for coverage and additional calls or when additional calls are received. In recent months, we have agreed to allow Southcom and Central Dispatch to automatically dispatch others agencies to cut down on the delays between the dispatch centers. As a result, Chief Mager had to create and update these records to accommodate the new dispatching procedure. He has also assisted the Schererville Fire Department with training and input as they had to create their own response plans as well. This extra work was completed timely and without error. Chief Mager's work not only protects the responding officers to a call, but provides additional resources to protect the lives and property of our residents. Sincerely, Cliff Rowe, Director of Technology, President, Lake County Data Sharing Spillman Committee Board.
Thank you. And I stand corrected. I wasn't fast enough on my computer.
That's okay. I do have something to say about that. As you guys know, that, you know, Chief Mager is obviously one of our most valuable members of our department. And to take on a project like this was a huge undergoing. But he's become so good at it that other departments call him, and actually he belongs to the countywide Mavis boxcard system or committee that helps develop these for every department in the county, and that are helping other departments as well. So on top of doing our 400, he sits on a committee with other chiefs to help other departments, which this takes a knack. It's not an easy thing to do, and it's meticulous. It has to be done perfectly, or one small stroke of the key to a wrong letter, number, and you could have a ambulance go into a structure fire where a fire engine is supposed to go into a structure fire. So it's very important that it's done properly, and you guys know how thorough Nick is. And it doesn't surprise me anymore, because I work with him every day and he takes on these projects. But for Cliff to see that and to know, because Cliff is also capable of doing this. And this took a lot of work off of Cliff's plate as well, to have another person in our community that was able to do this type of work. So, once again, great job, Chief Mager, and much appreciated by our department and on behalf of the commission too, because this was sent to them.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, I can never say enough about what Nick does for our department.
You know, I'll add a note to that. We've been busy coming over to the fire department lately, and I've complained enough about not having any coffee that he does a great job now.
He's a good coffee maker, yeah. I do want to discuss one thing that's in this letter, and that'll be under other, in reference to the dispatching that we're dealing with at Southtown, so that'll come a little bit later, just to let you know.
Okay, let me see, letter of recommendations, number 12.
Purchase orders, we had a little bit of a busy month as far as equipment's concerned. A total of 15,000 went out on various things like hydrostatic testing of our air bottles. We've had some, obviously uniform for some new people. Our cots for our ambulances had to be recertified and worked on. That was a $7,000 investment as far as just getting them recertified. And that's also the device that pulls them in and out of the ambulance as well, which is included in that. We were having some issues with the ladder truck. The ladder truck spent almost a month at fire service trying to find an electrical gremlin running around in that truck that was causing the outriggers to come in and out and malfunction. After a very long time of them troubleshooting it, they advised us that we should take it somewhere else. And we did. We took it to Legacy, which is in the Chicagoland area. They came and took it, and they had it for a week. Found the problem with the truck and a bunch of other little small problems, and has fixed it, and it is actually back in service as of today.
How much did that cost?
Right now, we just had a PO for $3,600 for Legacy and $6,000 for fire service, right around $6,000. That'll be in next month's numbers.
And here it says, unit 1253, vehicle repair.
Yep, 1253 is our, squad, our old Dodge police car, and it needed a ton of work, because we gotta keep it in service, because we're not slated to get any new vehicles. And I was told by the, clerk treasurer, it wasn't in our, it wasn't in the plan for us to get a vehicle this year, so I had to fix it. We have to use it. So, Larry Nagy did a bunch of work to the front end of it and did some brake work on it. I really didn't want to have to spend the money on it, but like I said, we have to have the vehicle, keep it in service. And I'm hoping and praying, and I've asked 2 or 3 times this year to get 2 new vehicles for next year. I know that one is slated for us, but we really need 2. And I would like to replace my truck, Chief Monger's truck, and put both of our vehicles in the system to be used as chaser vehicles as well. My vehicle is a 2011, and it's well over past due of when it should be replaced. Anything else, Commissioner? Okay.
Let me see,
As far as the grant's concerned,
Yes.
we did submit the grant for the SAFER Act, or SAFER grant, that was submitted back in early March. We haven't heard anything, we won't hear anything till later this year, probably late September. And that was for 3 full-time personnel. The town manager advised that that's what we should go for, so that's what we went for.
okay. One thing, okay, it's gonna get complicated. Our new, volunteer people, if you would stand up.
Can we do the part-time first, Norm?
Pardon?
Can I do the part-time first real quick? That's next to the
We
list.
only have 1 part-time.
Right.
The other one,
Andrew Briggs, can I get him at least, approved?
we was gonna kinda do it all.
Oh, you wanna do that? Okay, good, all right.
We're
We got 2 actually.
we don't wanna do an amendment.
I got it, I'm sorry.
So, if you stand up and look at those 2 gentlemen over there and smile real good, because they're gonna approve our recommendation, so. Stand up, introduce yourself.
Start with Jenna.
I'm Jenna Reinhold, I'm an EMT, and I'm working on getting on fire service as well as EMS.
Thank you.
I'm Preston Khalil. There's not too much to know about me, except that I just want to work as a volunteer for the fire department.
Thank you.
My name is Bailey Bashan. I'm a firefighter for the Army National Guard, and I'm starting here to pursue my career as a firefighter for Cedar Lake.
Thank you.
We had a fourth member that we interviewed. The commission had interviewed all of these. He had pulled his application before tonight. Zach was his name.
And then also we have to, the name Dylan Vick is gonna be removed from, we're gonna bundle this one into
Correct.
okay, so, we're bundling this one and,
Part-time. Okay.
the part-time, and also, on one motion, the retirement and resignation, we're gonna do that. So, we received a letter from, Assistant Chief Dean Wilkening. He's, after long consideration, he's decided to retire from the chief's rank of the Cedar Lake Fire Department and basically, just be a firefighter. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's one of them to remember. And, we received a, letter from Anthony D. Adam. He is resigned. So, we need a motion.
So you want two motions, because we do have two lines, so.
What
Or
was
just
we
one?
gonna use, we have to do an emergency hire. So do we have to do that on a vote?
You should.
Okay, well, we still have three lines, so. I'd like to make a motion to accept the resignation of Dean Wilkening and the Anthony D. Adams.
So Dean retired and then Anthony resigned. And then also,
Let's just make that a motion.
we got two? Okay, second that motion, please?
I'll second that, as Dean is retiring as a chief, but staying on the department as a firefighter. I'll second that.
Roll call vote, please?
Jim Olthoff?
Yes.
Dave Villalobos?
Yes.
Charlie Caper?
Yes.
Norm Stick?
Yes.
Then I'd like to make a motion for the volunteers of Jenna Reinhoot, or? We're bad with names. Preston Keel and Bailey Bouchard to become volunteer firefighters.
Second that?
I'll second it, yes.
Roll call vote, please?
There's no R, right?
Jim Olthoff?
Yes.
Dave Villalobos?
Yes.
Charlie Caper?
Yes,
Norm Stick?
Yes.
congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
I'm glad to have you aboard.
And then there's Briggs. Are we doing him as a part-timer?
Yes. So you make the motion.
All right, I'll make a motion that we recommend to the council to bring on Andrew Briggs as a part-time EMT firefighter.
Second?
Second.
Who's second?
Jim.
Thank you.
Roll call vote, please?
Jim Olthoff?
Yes.
Dave Villalobos?
Yes.
Charlie Caper?
Yes, ma'am.
Norm Stick?
Yes.
Okay, now that we got through all that,
Great. Let me see, got that and that and that.
we have other staffing. Do we have to
Would that be a good time to bring in the emergency hire?
correct?
We would like to authorize Chief Wilkening to advertise for a emergency hire.
Is it full-time firefighter or paramedic?
Full-time paramedic, firefighter, paramedic, or EMT, depending on whether or not we get a paramedic.
Are we voting?
One of
to
the two,
accept Cummings' resignation as well?
yes.
And then the
We're
emergency hire.
running out, this is our last space, we gotta do those together. Way to go, Charlie.
No, we're already out.
Okay, so, and we're going to, firefighter,
Mike Cummings?
Michael Cummings is resigning and moving on to.
But we don't have a
we
letter.
don't have a letter, right?
You should. Sandy didn't put that in the,
I don't know.
you didn't get a letter from her?
I didn't see one.
then we can't do that.
I don't have D. Adams' letter either.
Okay, yeah, he did tell me verbally, he also sent an email, with a letter of resignation.
We have, Sarah, we have a copy of that letter from D. Adams.
Okay. I didn't get one from
Is
D.
it
Adams.
signed?
I'll provide that, after, well, tomorrow, I'll get it out to you guys tomorrow. If you guys can go based upon my word of seeing it, I would appreciate it.
So basically, we're just back to, authorizing Chief Wilkening for an emergency hire. We have a motion, please?
Are we accepting Michael Cummings'
We
resignation?
don't have a letter.
He's asking us to
Yeah.
take his word for it, he's got the letter.
Based upon his resignation, yeah,
So we can,
We have to amend.
by
it.
advice of the attorney.
yes.
Good.
Okay, we only have 2 more lines, but David, when we get these letters that they're resigning or whatever they're doing, do they have to be signed? They're just coming like emails.
They should be, but you're talking about the, tools of the modern society,
Right.
emails, text, we're seeing all that.
So we need to do an emergency hire and accept the resignation
From Michael Cummings.
of Michael Cummings.
Okay,
Are you
Would you like
amending the
to do that,
agenda?
David? Would you like to make that
Yes,
resignation?
I'll make that.
Are you amending the agenda to,
Don't we have another one here?
No, we don't have any more lines.
Okay, so we have to amend the agenda
Okay, thank you,
to
sir.
make this motion?
Yes.
All right, so I guess we have to vote to amend the agenda first?
Second.
Roll call vote. David, then Charlie.
Jim Villalobos? Or I'm sorry, Jim Olthoff? I'm gonna just combine all you guys. Jim Olthoff? Dave Villalobos?
Yes.
Norm Stick?
Yes,
Charlie Capron?
Yes.
Thanks.
okay, now,
Okay, first,
Okay, now I'd like to, make a motion to accept the resignation of firefighter Michael Cummings
Okay.
and authorize, the advertising for an emergency hire for the fire department.
and we-
Second.
Second. Roll call vote, please.
Jim Olthoff?
Yes.
Dave Villalobos?
Yes.
Norm Stick?
Yes,
Charlie Capron?
yes.
thank you. Glad that's over.
Commissioners, on that same note, we will be advertising for 2 weeks for the emergency hire policy. And then if we do have a hiring list still, that's still good. There's 2 people on it, and they're both EMTs. So if we don't get an applicant that's a paramedic, I would like to bring forth those 2 applicants, but there's a 1 and number 2 already been rated. I'd like to bring that number 1 to you as the next hire, if possible, for an interview. If we don't get a paramedic firefighter, that applies.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Does that sound fair, or good? Okay,
That's
thank
why
you.
we do it.
That's why we do it, yep.
Okay, we did other staffing, so we're at 14 now, training report.
When do you guys do training? Is it the same day every
Every
week?
single day,
Every single day?
every day, yep. And then we do a monthly training, as a department, on Mondays.
And does everyone show up to that?
No, not everybody.
Okay.
They're not all required to, because full-time trains during the day, volunteers and PLCs train at night. Recently, going back to the staffing, we lost 2 or 3 volunteers because they couldn't fulfill any of their trainings, and they recently resigned. And we hadn't seen them in a while, but, that's the training requirement, because of the training requirement.
And you told these volunteers that training starts tonight at 9 o'clock?
Yep. Starts with washing the chief's vehicle. Although that was already done today. Where are we at?
Training hours logged.
Which number was it? It's 14, I'm trying to find 14, there it is, okay. As you can see on the beautiful graphs that we get from our training through our,
You're 14.
our logged in training hours, the reports in front of you. Do you have any questions on the actual training?
How about driver operators?
We
What kind of
have,
training do they get?
excuse me?
What kind of training do they get?
They spend, hours driving the vehicle and operating the vehicle, as far as pumping the vehicle, all the equipment on the vehicle. And yet they still crash into buildings with the ambulance. I know where you're going with that. They get numerous hours of driving training. I mean, a lot. And unfortunately, when you turn them loose behind the wheel, you still have those capabilities of having those minor incidents and hope they never turn into a major one. But, our brand new ambulance has been a kind of a magnet for minor dings and crashes with it. But
It'll buff out.
this one won't. This one's pretty good. And unfortunately, it was one of our youngest guys in the department who just got cleared, and I think was scared for his life after I brought him in my office, and he felt horrible, but it just happens. It just does. It's the cost of doing business, and we make sure that we follow the procedures and policies that we have, and our training division does a really good job of training them. It's just sometimes they just have their heads in the wrong place. Luckily, nobody got hurt. So we did have a minor incident where we had a ambulance clip the top of the Tasty top at the 145th and Morris. When he pulled in the parking lot, there was two vehicles, and he tried to squeeze through and didn't realize the overhang was lower than the top of the ambulance, and he caught it. Unfortunately, that'll put the ambulance out of service for a week or two to get it repaired. At a time where our backup ambulance is an absolute piece of junk now. I'm trying to get a used ambulance purchased, but I'm getting nowhere with it, so.
Okay, you opened the door, Todd.
Yes, I did.
I sent you a list of things as far as repairs on
Yes.
the 3 ambulances.
Yes, and I got it all to you.
You never indicated that was a piece of junk.
Which one?
You never indicated that.
That our old ambulance was a piece of
You
junk?
never indicated that.
I
You
said it.
said something about that the Chevrolet ambulance
It was in very bad shape.
needed tie rod ends. Why aren't they fixed?
No, I indicated a whole list of things that was wrong with the
I feel
ambulance.
have it, but one of the things that you said is that, I don't know what number it is, but the Chevrolet ambulance.
1263 in
Didn't you
Chevrolet.
say something about that the tie rod end was loose?
That they needed to be replaced as well.
Why
yes.
aren't they being replaced?
They are. We're doing the repairs to it, but we stopped doing repairs to it because we thought we might be able to get this other ambulance.
We've been here since this safety board's been started, and we haven't had that conversation as far as not to discontinue maintaining that ambulance. That hasn't happened.
We've been
And there is-
maintaining it, but we're finding
But
more. We just
nobody-
did a recent review of it.
Nobody has told you to stop.
Okay, if we wanna stick a lot of money into an ambulance, it's not worth it.
Well, it just, a professional report would be, not your opinion, would be called for.
I sent you a report from the
We
guy
have
that
it.
did the evaluation of it.
We have it, but I don't appreciate you calling the equipment junk when it's
Well,
not.
it's not, I apologize, it's in bad shape.
That's your opinion. And
That's my
In
professional
talking-
opinion
in
based
talking
upon my
about-
experience.
Are
Norm,
you-
yes, it is.
we can keep on going. Are you a mechanic? There is a meeting coming up next month, I believe, as far as to talk about the ambulance.
Haven't heard about it.
Well, I just heard about it the other day, so we can move on.
Nobody's communicated that with me, so I have to assume that nothing's being done.
We can move on now. Trainer report, equipment, do we do 15? Monthly activity, 16?
Hold on a second on the equipment. We're currently, doing yearly services on all of our small units and, like our generators, our fans, and all of our saws and all that stuff is being done at this point in time. The regular maintenance of the equipment, Fred Sadu is, handling that in-house. We do that yearly. That was one thing I wanted to report on equipment, just to let you know. The activity as far as the incidents are concerned, as you can see that, hold on a second, where's that listed? EMS runs were 123, fire 27 calls for a total of 158 runs for the month of March. And in the town, there was 117, unincorporated Hanover Township were 29, and mutual aid was 12. We did send the township trustee his report today, Nick, we sent that over. He requested, we send him the reports weekly or monthly as well, so.
Okay, that finished 16?
Yeah, that was the end of 16.
How about the number 17, Lexipol policy updates?
We have no Lexipol policy updates, but I will be preparing one, here in the next meeting for, retirement status and senior member active status that we have, that didn't get switched over to the new policies that we still have enforcement of.
Okay. And do you have anything for other 18?
I don't think.
Okay, 19, Mr. Rushton.
I have no report on A, except I'm working on it. I need information for B1, and I'm not certain what B2 is. C, there is a significant difference of review of the law. It looks like I need to visit with Chief Fisher about this. It's the conditional offer document. Special event D, I am working on, and I have been in dialogue with the town manager. That's in draft form. It should be actually completed shortly. The Lexipol item, these three particular items, I talked with Norm about, asked they be on this agenda specifically. And this is probably, these are probably policies that really need some discussion with the police chief. He's not here tonight.
Correct.
So, that'll have to come soon. So, that's it.
Thank you. Town council liaisons reports.
I don't think we have anything.
Pardon?
I don't have anything.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
We didn't want,
I've been out of the loop for a couple weeks, I apologize.
we didn't want you to feel left out.
Okay.
Thank you. New building update?
How's she doing?
We did all attend the groundbreaking. There was a nice event. Emergency operation plans update?
I've received a draft of internal department head review and drafting of this emergency operations plan. So we'll be working on it over the next month or two.
Okay, great, thank you. Is there any others?
You know, while we're going to redo these training reimbursement agreements for both the police and fire department, I was wondering if there's something we can put in there in regards to exit interviews, if it's mandatory.
How can you make it mandatory when people don't want to do it?
They hold their last check.
And that's legal?
You hold their check.
Absolutely.
Wow, okay.
That doesn't seem right.
Wow.
Because I've asked every person that left, if they want to do a exit interview, and they said no.
Well, we understand,
They didn't
but we'd
wanna
like
go
to hear
get-
why they're
I
leaving.
didn't ask them to do it with me, I asked if they would do it with the Board of Safety, just because of exactly what he just said.
Well, it needs to be talked
Because
about.
it's never done with the chief, it's always done with the Board of Safety, as far as the way I understood it.
Doesn't
Well, that's
have to
fine.
be with the Board of Safety either.
So you'll look into that?
I will.
I think we have concerns about it, don't we?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. We should try to, especially if you have some leverage to make them sit down. Like you said, you can withhold a check, that's legal. The information we gather from an exit interview would be helpful to us.
Thank you.
Okay, so, that was the other.
That was my other.
Anybody else have any others? Public comment, once,
Norm, I have a public comment.
okay.
A good friend of mine last week had a heart attack. Right over here, in the woods of, Cedar Creek. His wife came home, he was working on the deck, he had fallen over, he was laying on the deck. She called 911. The 911 operator had her starting CPR with her husband. She said within a matter of a few minutes, the police and fire department were both there. She said, and there was quite a few firemen and quite a few policemen that had showed up. They rushed him to the hospital. One of the, I believe it was Utah, that she said hooked her up with one of the policemen, and the policeman was going to bring her to the hospital. Before they left to go to the hospital, the policeman went to her car. She had been grocery shopping, brought all of her groceries in. The groceries that needed to go in the freezer when she got home from the hospital were in the freezer. The ones that needed to go in the refrigerator were in the refrigerator.
That's great.
Amazing. My friend didn't make it, but she, even at the funeral home, she came up and was complimenting the fire and the police. She said everything was, so good. And she said she started the CPR, and one of the policemen, one of the firemen took over for her. She said it seemed like I was only doing it a few minutes, and they were there. She said she was on the deck, the garage door was open. She said the police and fire just came right through the house and all of that and took care of the problem. So kudos to the police and fire department for taking care of it. And
That's great.
Sorry for your loss,
yeah,
Ralph.
it was.
Great. I think we was at the fire department when we heard that call go down.
Yeah.
All right, one more time for public comment. If none, meeting's adjourned.